Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier. I trust Monday went well. Let me start with some macro thoughts. This is from a tweet. I saw Bitcoin just feels to me that this wants to go exponential. Each mini trend is steeper than the last. ETF was a red herring, it appears. 30th of December, I said the optimal portfolio at this moment looks like long Bitcoin, short gold on a spread. US economy blowing hot, Fed rate hike due, that's imminent. The question is around will there be a series of them? Is there a chance that the Fed accelerates off its quarter point? But it'll be interesting to watch. Great infographic on the global economy by GDP. Take a look. Home thoughts. Fantastic photo. Moonrise over Earth by astronaut Shane Kimbrough. And it really is terrific. And so is this one. Beautiful sunset from Manda Bay in Lamu. Bobby Neptune. UK Parliament gives Theresa May permission to start Brexit. Dutch election upended as Turkey dispute scene aiding Wilders with less than 48 hours to polling day. In the first of Europe's big elections this year, political analysts said the international incident centred on the Netherlands could benefit both Prime Minister Mark Rutte's Liberals and the anti-Islam Freedom Party of populist Geert Wilders. The upshot may be to re-energize Wilders' campaign just as it appeared to be fading. My conclusions were, as I wrote them over the weekend, President Erdogan has once again proved himself a tremendous quality asset for the European far right. This AFP photo from Aleppo is one of the most haunting and powerful images I've seen in a long time. A novel in one shot, Ishan Tharoor. By April 2019, Britain could be out of the EU and Scotland could be out of Britain, says Jamie McGeever. New Yorker David Remnick, the problem in Washington is not a deep state, the problem is a shallow man, an untruthful, vindictive, alarmingly erratic president. By now, Trump's tactics are familiar, schooled by Roy Cohn, Joseph McCarthy's protege in the dark arts of rage, deflection, insult, and conspiracy mongering. Trump ignited his political career with birtherism, and he has kept close by his side Steve Bannon, formerly of Breitbart, who traffics in tinfoil hat theories of race, immigration, and foreign affairs. Together they have artfully hijacked the notion of fake news, turning it around as a weapon of insult, diversion, division, and attack. The UK Parliament wished us all a happy Commonwealth Day yesterday. I like this from Media NK somewhere in India. François Fillon, it's not clear to me who's going to come out strongest in this, but one suspects you're going to have a convergence in order to prevent Le Pen. Containing China is a strategic trap to India. The Asia-Pacific security pattern is witnessing drastic changes, with all forces being regrouped and readjusted. Indian and American scholars have said that cooperation among India, the US, and Japan will determine the parameters of security in the Indian Ocean and Pacific regions in the face of an assertive China. US, India, and Japan have different strategic goals, but some Indians hold a similar stance with Washington and Tokyo on countering China's rise. Cooperation among the three countries is necessary to face the Chinese assertiveness in the Indian and Pacific region, according to the Hindu. Last month, India's Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj and Secretary of State Rex Tillerson agreed in their first phone conversation to intensify defense and security cooperation, which has been emphasized by some Indians. Washington hopes to use New Delhi to contain China in the Indian Ocean. Tokyo wishes to counterbalance China in the Pacific Ocean with the help of New Delhi. And my conclusion is that actually the Indian Ocean is set to be a key battleground when it comes to global geopolitics. Why Saudi Arabia, China and the Islamic State are courting the Maldives is an example of this. Saudi King Salman's stop in the Maldives on his month-long tour of Asia brings into focus how this tiny archipelago, best known for high-end tourism and an existential battle against climate change, has emerged in a regional struggle for influence. Both Riyadh and Beijing are currying favor with the strategically located 820-kilometer long chain of Indian Ocean atolls in efforts analysts believe are aimed at gaining concessions for military bases. China sees the islands as a node in its string of pearls, a row of ports on key trade and oil routes linking the Middle Kingdom to the Middle East. Whilst for Saudi Arabia, the atolls have the added advantage of lying a straight 3-hour shot from the coast of regional rival and arch foe Iran. They want to have a base in the Maldives that safeguard trade routes, their oil routes, to their new markets, to have strategic installations, infrastructure. This is Nasheed. Then you'll remember what Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said when he was here at TCAD. He said Japan bears the responsibility of fostering the confluence of the Pacific and the Indian Oceans. There you see, this is a key battleground. Japan plans to send its largest warship to the South China Sea in its biggest naval deployment since the Second World War. And I said in August 2016, if you think about it, the Indian Ocean is an appendage of the South China Sea. On that note, let me put up a photograph of Ali, the navigator who took us to Wasini Island. This is the meeting of the Qassim Girls' Council. Spot what's wrong with it. The Saudi Deputy Crown Prince is to meet Trump. Let's see what announcements are made about Trump Towers in somewhere in Jeddah. Okay. International markets, let's go and have a look at that. Currency markets, Euro 106.56, came off the 107 level. Dollar index 101.38, Japanese yen 114.85, Swissy 100.75, the pound 122.08, the Australian 0.7561, India rupee 66.192, South Korean won 1147.55, the Rial 315.31, Egyptian pound 17.7105, and the Rand 13.1404. Dollar index, let me put up a chart that Aurelia has posted. My target is still 110. Europe, and I touched on this in my piece at the weekend, I said the right has the wind in its sails, but in Europe the elections are not of the winner takes all variety. This week, European election season kicks off in earnest in Europe with the Dutch parliamentary elections. President Erdogan once again proved himself a tremendous quality asset for the European far right. The dispute between Turkey and the Netherlands hit a new low Sunday with a Turkish minister escorted out of the country as persona non grata, less than a day after Turkey's foreign minister was denied entry, prompting President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to call the Dutch Nazi remnants. The diplomatic standoff was over plans by Turkish government officials to campaign in the Netherlands for a referendum back home. Family and Social Policies Minister Fatma Betül Sayan-Kaya had arrived in the country from Germany, but was prevented from entering Turkey's diplomatic compound in Rotterdam, setting up an extraordinary standoff with armed police. She was later sent under escort back to Germany. The direction of travel the world over has been in the populist direction from Brexit to Trump. Geert Wilders surely will post his Freedom Party's best ever result, and the Turks will surely have juiced that some more. We then have an election in France where Marine Le Pen and the Front National are fighting for the keys to the Élysée Palace and the French presidency. And later in the year we go to Germany. The right has the wind in its sails, and in Europe the elections are not of the winner-takes-all variety. It would require a very big tide, a tsunami even, to carry Geert, Marine and others into power. The euro, counterintuitively, might rally bigly if a coalition blocks Geert in the Netherlands and the French second-round vote blocks Le Pen. Euro versus the dollar, this is a chart from Aurelia again. I think it could bounce as high as 109.90. Commodity markets, Goldman calls for patience to see commodity gains after rout. Bloomberg Commodity Index fell 3.4% last week in the biggest decline since July, led by drops in oil and nickel. Gold, let's take a look at what that is, 1203.55, it's a sell. OPEC is that scared little man I wrote over the weekend. Crude oil sank below $50 in New York to close at December lows of $48.75, just above there. OPEC, which is led by Saudi Arabia, has been on a kamikaze mission to destroy the shale boys by pumping up the volume in 2015 and 2016 before doing a 360-degree turn in Q4 2016 and dialing down the volume. The problem is that shale has been able to turn up its volume by more than OPEC can turn its down. It's a delicious catch-22. OPEC's braggadocio veiled this reality, but last week crude oil crashed as the markets lifted the veil and OPEC was to be found general butt naked. For reasons of accuracy, Joshua Milton Blahy, better known by his nom de guerre, General Butt Naked, is a former commander of forces under the wider control of Liberian warlord Roosevelt Johnson. It surely suits President Trump's MAGA agenda to encourage the shale folks to turn its up some more. This price trend, which I expect to accelerate, is set to put breaking point pressure on oil producers. The treasuries in Riyadh, Luanda, Caracas, and in so many places had been betting on a price rebound by borrowing more. I believe we had a Wizard of Oz, like lifting the curtain moment for OPEC last week. It's like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. When Dorothy's world ended a terrible storm, she found herself beginning a great adventure. She went looking for the fabled wizard in the land of Oz who was going to solve all of her problems and save the world. But when she got to the land of Oz and found the wizard, she discovered that behind the great curtain was a scared little man. OPEC is that scared little man. And this is why, have a look at this chart, and I still think it's a sell on rebounds. Peter Guest tweeted apocalyptic skies in Jakarta, a great photograph. Oxfam, the world is facing its largest humanitarian crisis since World War II. You can see that actually East Africa is being hit quite hard. Jeune Afrique is talking about the King of Morocco and his strategic engagement with Africa. I had a friend who was describing these interactions because they were at the African Union, all these sorts of places, and said he was pretty dynamic and persuasive, and I think probably juiced everything with bundles and oodles of cash. Congo Brazzaville is looking at entering into discussions with the IMF. It's life and death how the growth of Addis Ababa has sparked racial tensions. The master plan was a trigger, but not the cause, says Gala. It seems calm now, but under the surface much is happening. We are gathering our forces now. People are talking, meeting, organizing. Now no one, not even the young people, is interested in economic growth. Once you've lost faith in the government, everything is dark for you. Am I afraid? Yes, but when those in the front line fall, others will take their place. The average government external debt payments across 122 developing countries increased from 6.7% of government revenue in 2014 to 9.7% in 2016. Cocoa plunge, mutinous army may widen Ivory Coast deficit, tumbling cocoa prices, and unscheduled payments to civil servants and mutinous soldiers in the past 2 months could widen Ivory Coast's budget deficit and curb growth this year. Ivory Coast was the best performing economy last year, I think, in Africa. Cocoa prices have fallen by more than a third after reaching a 6-year high in July. South African all-share is up 2.37% this year. Dollar versus Rand, 13.14. Got to keep an eye on the politics. That seems to have gone quiet. Egyptian pound, 17.71. The Central Bank of Nigeria won't allow faceless and criminally minded people to destroy the currency under the guise of a free float, as is being canvassed. That's Emefiele, the central bank governor. Independent estimates and purchasing power parity analysis by the regulator show that the currency shouldn't be so low on the unofficial market, which has been influenced by criminal activities, he said. Inflows into Nigeria have declined to less than $700 million per month, from $3.6 billion in June 2014. Demand for foreign currency is about $4.8 billion. The central bank will continue to meet all legitimate transaction-based foreign exchange demands in the market. I've heard commentators suggest we should follow Egypt's example and free the naira. What they do not tell you is that following their currency adjustments, inflation today in Egypt is over 30%. Is that what we want in Nigeria? Over the weekend, I wrote, the moment is now upon Nigeria as to whether they own the process around the naira devaluation, or the moment owns them. Mr. Buhari's presidency so far has been a triumph of reality over spin, says the FT. Clever publicists were able magically to transform Mr. Buhari into a sprightly and forward-thinking leader. But repackaging Mr. Osinbajo as a Muslim northerner may be a feat beyond even the most gifted of spin doctors, says David Pilling. Nigerian all shares down 6.47% this year. I like this photograph. Happy Independence Day, Ghana, from My Africa. Ghana Stock Exchange is up 11.04% this year. Interesting report, Knight Frank Wealth Report. Growth in ultra-wealthy populations in Africa, 33%. In Latin America, 37%, will also outpace that in Europe and North America. In Africa, sharp rises are expected in countries such as Mauritius, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda. In fact, of the 20 countries whose ultra-wealthy populations have grown most rapidly over the last decade, 11 are in Africa. Angola, Congo, Nigeria, Zambia, and Equatorial Guinea have lost 53% of export revenue since the commodity price fall. Severe drought continues to stoke inflationary pressures in East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Ethiopia. And I wrote about this when I said where meteorology intersects with monetary policy on the 7th of March. 6th of February, I was writing about connecting the dots, food prices, the weather in Laikipia. Sudan's annual rate of inflation rose to 33.53% in February. Kenya's central bank finalizing licenses for 2 new banks. Process requests for licenses by 2 new banks, ending a moratorium been put in place in 2015 on licensed new commercial banks. Central Bank of Kenya announces its intention to finalize the processing of license applications for 2 institutions as a first step to lifting the moratorium on licensing of new commercial banks. Dubai Islamic Bank is wholly owned by the Dubai Islamic Bank, which operates according to Islamic principles. Of course, there's Mayfair Bank, which is a bunch of local shareholders. I said to the FT that it's a subtle signal of strength by Mr. Jiroki. Joho barred from attending Uhuru's Mtongwe ferry launches. A lot of drama down there in Mombasa. The median age in Kenya is 19 years, according to Oxfam. East African Breweries plans to raise 6 billion shillings in the sale of 5-year debt, fixed annual rate of 4.17%, which I thought was pretty interesting. Kenya shilling last trading firm 102.655. Nairobi all shares rallied 4.121% since March 8. It's down 6.59% year to date. NSE 20 is down 6.77% year to date. I like this photograph from Linda Owino, sunset at the Masai Mara. Have a nice evening, everyone.